Hey, it's Sela Social Studies.
Hey guys, welcome back to Sheila's Social Studies. Today we're going to be talking about the Supreme Court case of Scott versus Sanford, and this is regarding the Dred Scott and Harriet Scott decision for suing for their freedom, another large divider of the nation. Now, from the first expansion of the United States, the question of would slavery be allowed in new territories threatened to break the Union. The Northwest Ordinance of 1787 attempted to put an end to the expansion of slavery when it outlawed the practice in the territories that surrounded the Great Lakes. Over the decades that followed, a series of conflicts and compromises arose that put a band-aid on the gushing wound of slavery. In the year 1857, another one of these landmark decisions would be thrust upon the United States, offering a devastating blow to abolitionists and the Union when the Supreme Court case of Dred Scott versus Sanford was decided. Now, Dred Scott was a slave who was born in Virginia and was transported with his owner to the new territory of Louisiana. When his first owner died, Scott was purchased by United States Army physician John Emerson. Since Emerson was in the Army, he was required to move around the country to fulfill his duties. Emerson took Scott to army bases that were located in free territories. So between the years of 1833 and 1836, they lived on a base in Illinois, and Scott and Emerson also lived in Wisconsin. These territories were declared free territories by the Missouri Compromise of 1820. While there, Scott decided to stay with Emerson by his own free will, even though he could have declared his freedom. It is still unknown today why Scott had not set himself free. Emerson had moved back to Missouri, taking his property, including his slaves, back with him to Missouri. In 1846, John Emerson passed away. Instead of transferring ownership to Emerson's wife, Dred and his wife Harriet sued for their freedom. Scott's argument for his case was that he should be considered free because he had lived in a free state and a free territory for a prolonged period of time, and he stayed with his owner by his own free will. After 11 years, in 1857, the Scots case finally reached the Supreme Court. Critical questions about slavery in the new territories and citizenship for African Americans were at stake. So in Scott v. Sanford, the decision, Chief Justice Roger B. Taney wrote the majority opinion on this case. Taney's verdict was a bombshell and clobbered many hopes of the abolitionists of slavery. Justice Taney ruled that Dred Scott could not sue for his freedom and gave many reasons for the basis of his decision. Taney wrote that African Americans, whether they were free or slave, could not sue for their freedom because slaves were considered property and property could not sue in federal court. Free African Americans were not citizens, so they could not sue in court. Taney also ruled that Congress had never had the right to prohibit slavery in any territory when it issued the Missouri Compromise of 1820. Any ban on slavery was the violation of the Fifth Amendment, which prohibited denying property rights without due process of law. Because of this, the Missouri Compromise was therefore unconstitutional. The court ruled that Scott's freedom of 2 years in Illinois and Wisconsin did not make him free once he returned to Missouri. The court also ruled that as a black man, Scott was excluded from the United States citizenship and could therefore not bring suit. According to the opinion of the court, African Americans had not been part of the sovereign people who made the Constitution. In 1857, Dred Scott lost the battle for his freedom in the court system. However, Scott will have his freedom when he is purchased by an abolitionist and set free just a year before his death. His battle for freedom started in the old courthouse in St. Louis, Missouri. Taney was the Chief Justice and was a former slave owner, as well as 4 of the other judges. Only 2 Republican judges did not own slaves, so the Northern abolitionists did not want to accept the decision. Abraham Lincoln felt that the next step would be that the Supreme Court could decide that no state could exclude slavery under the Constitution, regardless of wishes or laws. Congress and the president failed to act on the issue as they both favored pro-slavery legislation, and the Supreme Court just landed a decision that was supported only by the South. The Democratic Party was fracturing and the outlook for the United States looked bleak. I'll see you next time.